Hey guys, David Glenn back for davidglennrecording.com, themixacademy.com, and theproaudiofiles.com. Now we're in part 2 of tightening up your kick drums. The first part, we talked about how to take a kick from sounding like this to this. Okay. And in this video, what I've done is I've exported in Pro Tools that kick by selecting that range, getting that track. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with this. I'll send it to a quick mono bus and then right click, bounce it. Some of you guys in other DAWs have easier ways to do this, but I've exported that kick and imported it back in so that I get all of that processing, and then now I can treat it a little bit differently. So for this video, I'm going to go ahead and put that back to the right routing. And so now this kick down here, you see 3 of them. I'm going to explain that in a second. This one here, bypassed, is the same as this one. And actually, I take that back because I did it before the gate. Now it'll be the same. There you go. So they're the same kick minus that gate on the end there, which I talked about in the first video. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that track, and I've saved us some time. I've gone ahead and done that. You'll see these 3 right here, they're the exact same. And I've duplicated them so that I can get in and treat the sub of the kick, the mids of the kick, and what I call the click, not just me, everybody calls it the click of the kick, differently. And so let's take a look at the frequency range that I've selected to do that. I've got an EQ that I've put on each of the 3 of these at the beginning, and I've designated this one to be sub region 70 hertz and below. The next one over here, the mid, I've got just above 70 through to about 1K. And then for the click of the kick, I've selected the range 1K and above. You can do that a little bit different for your taste or what you want to go for. The freedom of being able to control that is awesome. If you want it, there you go, you have it. But moving on from that, now what I can do is up here we talked about the isotope alloy 2 being able to 120 and below, 120 to 2K and above to be able to add attack, cut, sustain on each of those independent frequency ranges. Well, not everybody has that plugin. So what I wanted to do is give you an example of how you could do this, and then you even get greater control because you can add a bunch of plugins on the back end of that specific frequency range of the kick drum, vocal. Just talked about in the Mix Academy webinar how I've heard Justin Niebank, who mixes for Taylor Swift, Rascal Flatts, a lot of popular artists in the country and pop rock world, how he'll split a vocal apart, and while he's mixing, he'll ride 2K, some sparkle, whatever, into Taylor Swift's vocal for just the chorus, and then back it off. He'll actually ride those frequency ranges of the vocal to give a little bit more. But anyways, more on that to come. The kick subs, let's take a listen to this before. This is just with the EQ, breaking everything above, 70 hertz out. And you can hear what I talked about in the first video is it just being a little bit too washy, a little bit too muddy for this particular song. Too much sustain, too much decay coming from that kick, and I want to tighten it up. So right out of the gate, because I'm only focusing on the subs of this kick, I can just put a gate. No pun intended. Put a gate on it, tighten it up. There you go, and I can dial that in a little bit. Here's a little bit of the distortion. Before. Okay, so we got a little bit of some stuff going on. Excuse me. Tweak to taste. Those settings you can determine on your own. The other thing you could do, aside from that, is you can get in with, like we talked about, with boosting the attack. If you have, let's see, what are some good plugins for boosting attack? Obviously, Alloy 2, we talked about that. The Transient Designer in there is great. We've got Kush Audio's Pusher is excellent for that. The SPL is really popular. Let me go. I think I've got that under Plugin Alliance. Is that where I have it? Attacker. If you can pull open SPL Attacker and Boost. You're going to hear the extra attacker, pretty straightforward. And we can manipulate and control the sub frequency all by itself. Moving on from the subs, you can come up here to the mids, take a listen to those. That frequency range that I've chosen, you could get in here and EQ it. Cut it, shape it a little bit. You do what you want, you can gate it. Really tighten that guy up. Something I like to do with mid-range of kicks and bass is distort it. You can come over here and get out our buddy Decapitator. I think that's going to be harmonic. Let's go to that one. Let's see what we get if we drive some distortion into this guy. Kind of a cool thing. Get really aggressive with it. Let's hear a before and after on that. Let's do a control click on Pro Tools. We can bypass all of them at once. That's what we started with. Tighten it up. Cool. I guess this tutorial is more of a multi-purpose, just telling you, hey, you break them apart, give them their own frequency range. The sky's the limit. You've got 10 plug-in spots here. If you use a plug-in like Blue Cat's Patchwork, you can get even more than that. That's what, 10 slots per instance. Do the math. There you go. You've got tons of flexibility. You could send each of these to their own effects and do some cool stuff with that. All kinds of work you can do by splitting and duplicating the tracks. Again, you had this above 1K. We could gate that. Look for anything harsh up there. Just take that out. And then, of course, the beauty of this, I'm going to mute this other kick. The beauty of having them on their own faders now is I can control the volume of them independently. So you see kick, sub, mid, and click right there. Let's pull down the mid and the click. Cool. And then the other cool thing is if you're not digging the kick click, you can import a kick, trigger this guy, all kinds of stuff you could do to get that to shape a little bit better with the kick drum or whatever you hear in your head to come out. Options upon options upon options. I hope you dig this. Split them apart, treat them differently, do some cool stuff to it, get creative with distortion and your gating, tighten up your sustain. I think you're going to enjoy that. And feel free to email me, david@davidglennrecording.com, themixacademy.com. Check out the proaudiofiles.com, and then you've got the latest tutorial from Matthew Weiss, my buddy over at the proaudiofiles.com. It's called Mixing EDM. Be sure to check that out. I hope you dig it, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys.